In today's challenging economic environment, some Texans are experiencing great difficulty in securing mortgage loans to buy a home. And as a result, both sellers and buyers are forced to explore alternative financing arrangements when negotiating real estate transactions. But these creative alternatives often subject the parties to even greater financial risk. Hi, I'm Vicki Hudson, and welcome to TexasLegalDocs.com. In a stable economy, real estate values hold their own. Jobs remain plentiful, and traditional financing is readily available to keep the real estate market humming. However, when economic conditions plummet, traditional funding sources dry up quickly, and desperate parties caught in the crunch must resort to risky alternatives.
That may include a contract for deed, a lease purchase arrangement, or maybe even wraparound financing. But the inherent problem in all three of those alternatives is that the seller's existing mortgage is not paid off. A buyer is forced to take title to a piece of property subject to the seller's continuing obligation to make payments on their mortgage.
Now, the first type of structure is commonly known as a contract for deed. Under this agreement, a seller transfers possession of the home to a buyer in return for the buyer's promise to pay back an agreed sales price over time. The second type of scenario involves a lease purchase agreement, where the buyer leases the property from the seller and then makes monthly payments to the seller until the buyer can qualify for their own mortgage.
In both lease purchase arrangements and contracts for deed, you run into four of the same type problems. First of all, in both arrangements, the seller's existing mortgage is being violated. Secondly, there are legislative requirements for both of those type transactions, and if you fail to follow the legislative requirements, there are severe penalties for doing so. Third, a buyer is giving away money to the seller without any protection of owning the property or having a deed. And lastly, the seller is giving away possession of the property but remains liable for any accidents or other problems with the property.
Now, on its face, the third option, wraparound financing, seems more legally sound. Under this arrangement, a seller does execute and deliver to the buyer a deed, transferring ownership of the property. But under wraparound financing, the buyer is still taking on property subject to an existing obligation, and the transfer could give rise to an immediate foreclosure action.
The only safe bet is for a seller to sell a piece of property to a buyer for cash or to a buyer that can obtain their own mortgage financing. Anything short of this could lead to additional significant future problems.
Although today's economy and housing market are making it tougher for both buyers and sellers to complete real estate transactions, creative alternatives that appear to be lifesavers often turn into expensive dead ends. For TexasLegalDocs.com, I'm Vicki Hudson. We'll see you next time.